Welcome, guys.
Thank you guys. So I messed up the screen.
Oh, yeah, you did that.
So, okay, let's put it back. I just wanted everybody to see the slides because I spent hours and hours poring over them. But so welcome this evening, and the speakers have been so wonderful. They have said everything I wanted to say, so there's really nothing much to say. You know what Pratibha Ayurved said, what Jayaji said. I was going to say all of that, but it's good now. It cut short the whole thing to a very minimum. So I just wanted to introduce myself once we get the slides started. So I have been a primary care for almost 18 years and certified by ABIM. But I was missing something. There was something that was missing, and it's not just about work. You know, you are seeing patients, you are treating them, and then life happens. Sometimes your treatment works, sometimes it does not. You feel that you were not validated. Maybe the imposter syndrome, that you're not a doctor even. What were you thinking? So all kinds of things happen. But I am talking about another feeling of something missing. And then I started looking around, and there were some things that I saw that touched my heart, including weight gain, and menopause. And I think it touched my heart because it was touching my physical body. I was going through all of those. So just wanted to let you know, I just got certified in American Board of Obesity Medicine, certified life coach, and certified weight management specialist. Next slide, please. And what I learned was eye-opening, not just what's going around and how it can be treated. So even as a primary care, I did not know that half of these things that we just say to women, that weight gain and menopause, that happens. Hot flashes, that happens. You have to live with it. Oh, you're not sleeping, take an SSRI. Why don't you take an antidepressant when you're not depressed? So these things that your primary care tells, which I was telling, I'm guilty of that, I was telling all my patients the same things. But those are not true. You don't have to go through those hot flashes and sleepless nights and being bonkers and brain fog, can't remember your own kid's name half the time. That doesn't have to be you. So, so what is obesity and what is menopause, right? So obesity has been identified as an epidemic. It's no longer that acute thing that happens because you ate something and then it will go away because, you take a medication, or you just die. There is no medication as far as we know as of yet. So diet and exercise. And again, I am guilty of that. When my patients came and I look at them and I say diet and exercise, and then I'm thinking, what are they even eating? And then that's not true. It is a chronic illness. It's a chronic complex relapsing disease, and it can impair health in other ways. It can cause diabetes, heart disease, obstructive sleep apnea, fatty liver, not mentioning cancers. And we now know it's multifactorial. It is an imbalance in intake and output, but various other causes, including obesogenic environment, psychosocial factors, and genetic variants are responsible. So this is just the prevalence and trends. On the left top, it's a very busy slide, and I know all the way in the back will be hard, but the left top is showing the trend, obesity. As you can see, the green at the bottom is severe obesity, and the blue at the top is obesity is going up. Trends in obesity among children and adolescents, the bottom left going up, especially 12 to 18, the curve that you see, the steep curve. And then projection is that by 2030, obesity will be in 50% of our population. Next slide, please. So, and severe obesity in 25% of our population. So that's obesity. But because it's women empowerment, because we are all struggling more than men, and we know that, and also because I learned so much about it as part of the certification, it was not right that I don't spread that education, that knowledge. And it doesn't have to be treatment. I'm not selling treatment, and I'm not selling myself. I'm just telling you to advocate for yourself, but you know what you say for yourself, what you demand your doctors for, what you go and tell your primary care or your OBGYN. So you have to know to ask for yourself, to advocate for yourself. So menopause, we all know, is cessation of menstruation, and its age range is 45, 55, average 51. age year, and then perimenopause is the leading up to that. Next slide please. We'll tell you what happens leading up to that. It's not a 6 months, 1 year. It can be leading up to menopause for 5 years. Women suffer from literally 5 to 15 years at least in their prime of their lives from these symptoms. So menopause and weight gain. Why does weight gain happen? So if we break it down, during and after menopause, women often experience weight gain due to hormonal shifts. And I know that everybody knows this. All doctors say this to their patients. It's a slower metabolism, changes in fat distribution, particularly around the abdomen. And we all know that. This is due to shift in fat distribution because abdomen is where it goes due to the estrogen, testosterone, ratio changes rather than the hips and thighs. Next slide, please. And this is due to, like I said, declining estrogen levels. So let's dig deeper. What is going on? So there is a roller coaster that we are riding, literally, and I think everybody can feel it. What is going on? When the estrogen is dropping, your insulin resistance is going higher. And these are all new things that they have found because somebody decided to do some research into women's health issues. This can make us tired and we crave sugar and caffeine, and that roller coaster doesn't stop. Then in perimenopause, your stress level goes high, so stress hormone cortisol is produced. But remember, this happens to a woman in the life when she is actually struggling with the most in her life, spinning the most plates in her life, including work, family, career, and these changes start to happen. So she gets more stressed, and then cortisol is produced, which causes weight gain around the waist. It's called the worry waist. Then there is a hunger hormone, ghrelin, that messes up everything. And then there is dip in the insulin production, which estrogen dips causing insulin production. So you produce insulin, you crave for glucose, you eat glucose, and you produce more insulin. And that cycle never stops. So that's a nutshell of what's happening. But what do we do about it? Here's the part that I want to share today. Next slide, please. And then there is actually a leptin that they also found. So all these hormones are, working against us. And these are the symptoms. We don't have to discuss the symptoms. Can we go to the next slide? Sleep, foggy brain, mood, anxiety, headache, all of that. So what happened with the Women's Health Initiative study? So that study is what blacklisted and labeled the HRT as a no-no. That was started in 1998 to 2002. That was the time frame, and it was started to actually confirm that HRT is good for women, but it ended up showing some increase in breast cancer risk. And the moment the word breast cancer, was spoken, everybody dropped it like a hot potato. So primary care stopped prescribing HRT. Women stopped asking for it because when they asked, the people said breast cancer. And that word has, such a morbidity attached to it, and we know why. That's not untrue, that's truth. But what was untrue was, what is actual study showing? Is there an increase in breast cancer risk or not? So somebody looked at it again, and now it's been unearthed that it wasn't, there was some words thrown, relative risk, absolute risk, statistical risk, and I do not understand any of that. So I spoke to a specialist to find out what actually was true. So what they found was in placebo group, 4 out of 1,000 women were getting breast cancer, and in the estrogen treated group, it was 5 out of 1,000, which is 1 more out of 1,000. Also looking at that fact, you see, 4 in the placebo group, meaning people who don't take estrogen also were getting breast cancer from something else, some other etiology. So it's not HRT that should be entirely blamed. Yes, if a woman has a history of breast cancer or a family history of breast cancer, we are not going to prescribe the medication, but that does not mean that million other women should suffer because we think it causes breast cancer. Now, it is a significant disease, so we need to look into it. So let's go to the next slide, because the recent publication has come out and it has specifically given us some data. So first thing was, the women in WHI study were almost 12 to 15 years older than women we want to treat. Most women in that study was above 60 to 65 years of age, where the risk was higher. If you start a woman at 45 to 50, the risk is not higher. There were literally 10 or a few women that were of the age 15 that they removed that sample, they took that sample to get data, and that showed that it wasn't true for the women in the 50 age group. The other thing is, the medications that they were using, estrogen and MPA, is not the medication we use currently. in the treatment of menopause symptoms. And then some subsequent studies also showed that the risk of stroke that was associated with that was not true. And in addition, they found that the risk of hip fractures is much lower in estrogen progesterone treated women. So it was actually being helpful towards cardiovascular risk and osteoporosis, hip fracture risk versus actually causing breast cancer and stroke, which it was labeled as. Next slide, please. So just to finish up, estrogen does not cause breast cancer. Estrogen does not cause an increased risk of stroke. Estrogen plus progesterone also does not have the risk, and progesterone must be added for protection of endometrium. That is important. So you need to know, so you can ask your doctor that. HRT can help bone health, HRT can help with cardiovascular benefit, and bioidentical hormones. These are the hormones that are chemically identical or very similar to what the body produces naturally, and these are not the medications or the hormones that were used in the study. So what should we do? Just know and discuss. HRT has benefits. Be with an open mind, go with an open mind and discuss. There are a lot of options available. Ask your doctor, choose wisely based on patient profile. Like I said, you have to be the right candidate, and that your doctor can help you find. So what do? Just before you see a doctor or even with, alongside, focus on nutrient-dense food, try DASH or Mediterranean, eat more protein, eat good fat, make healthy choices, try intermittent fasting, and I've tried all of those. The most liberal is 12-12, which is pretty easy because it's 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. that you eat. That's a lot of eating. But it does work because for 12 hours your gut is, recovering itself because you're not munching the whole thing. Increase your phytoestrogens, exercise when you can and how much you can. There is no number and no definition. Yes, cardiovascular, the Medical Society and American Society of Cardiology recommends 150 minutes per week, but that's a number. If you do 0, 5 is the number. So start wherever you can. Medication, supplements, probiotics, fermented foods, all can help in a different way. Just like Pratibha said, you have to use what you have, those tools, when you need and as you need. If you're preventing, you can use a lot of supplements and foods, but if you're treating, you might not. That might not be enough. Do what works for you as an individual. And medication options are many, and I treat. That's what I'll say, just that much I'll say about myself. So there is OCP, there is HRT, there is VHRT, there is Wegovy, Zepbound, Metformin, Wellbutrin. Everybody is talking about these things and you hear these terms and words so loosely, just ask about it. And then there is lots on the market that's going around on social media as well, you'll probably hear. Some of it has some, background to it. You can discuss with your doctor, black ash, berberine, zinc, magnesium, ashwagandha, lion's mane, mushrooms, all those things. And I can talk about this in depth. Find someone who knows enough and advocates for you and prescribes what you need. Find your best fit. Thank you.